Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 5 for subject Dirasah Al-Islamiyah. We choose to present about doubts of anti-hadith group and Sunnah. My name is Balkis Amani binti Zainal and my metric number is 1232055. Why we choose this topic? Um, we choose this topic based on several significant reasons. First, we choose this topic because of contemporary issue and relevance. So the anti-hadith movement is an issue gaining increasing attention among Muslims in the modern era. This topic is relevant for examining the thoughts and trends that reject hadith as a source of law and teaching in Islam. Second, we choose this topic because of scientific and academic importance. Studying the anti-hadith movement can provide a deep understanding of the different perspectives within Islam. This is important for students, academic, and religious researchers to understand the various viewpoints and arguments used by the anti-hadith group. Third, increasing awareness and knowledge. So we choose this topic for raising awareness and knowledge among Muslims about the importance of hadith in religion. It can also help correct misunderstanding and refute the argument presented by the anti-hadith group. And lastly, we chose this topic because of social and religious impact. So studying the impact of the anti-hadith movement on society and the Muslim community is crucial to see the social, religious, and cultural implication that may arise from the rejection of hadith. Overall, by choosing the anti-hadith topic, researcher can elaborate the critical issue faced by Muslims today and make a significant contribution to the field of Islamic study. Now, we move on to introduction of anti-hadith. Anti-hadith is a heretical teaching that has recently spread in the Islamic community. This group argue that the Quran is the only sources of Islamic law, dismissing hadith and other sources. That means they only refer Quran and not refer to hadith and other sources to be their references. Proponents distort Quranic interpretations to support their belief, leading to deviation in matters of faith, politics, and jurisprudence. They consider Prophet Muhammad SAW merely a follower of Prophet Ibrahim alaihi salam and claim that worship practices should imitate Ibrahim alaihi salam. Additionally, they accuse past and present scholars of falsifying teachings and inventing law not found in the Quran. These group interpretations are based on weak translation and a lack of expertise in the Quran language and style, resulting in significant misunderstanding of its true meaning. That's all from me.
Next, I will explain about issues and problem. Number one, dispute occur among Muslims themselves. Number two, many false hadiths are spread among Muslims and it was like to being tradition every year. Number three, Muslims make excuses among themselves in order to uphold the truth they hold. For an example, person A said this hadith was sahih, but person B said that hadith was da'if. All this happens because of the lack of knowledge among Muslims regarding the science of hadith, such as the meaning, description, and history of the hadith. Next, I will explain about research questions about this research. How the anti-hadith group exists. This is because of the existence of groups that try to interpret or translate hadith using limited human thinking and only according to the loose. This will cause confusion and spoil the situation due to a misunderstanding that goes too far. Secondly, What is the opinion of Sunnah scholars regarding the anti-hadith group? Scholars think that anyone who does not believe in the hadith of Prophet Muhammad SAW belongs to the misguided or liberal group. This refers to the anti-hadith group that reject the hadith of Prophet Muhammad SAW. And lastly, what is the main reason the anti-hadith group reject the hadith? Anti-hadith group have two thoughts regarding the status of hadith. First, the belief in the Prophet Muhammad SAW, but not as one of the sources of Sharia law, but only the apostolic history. Secondly, they say that the hadith is only a fictional or an false story.
My name is Nur Izzah binti Muhammad Fadli and my matrix number is 1232071. Now I will continue with a research objective. The scope of this study is to ensure that Muslims know that the existence of this anti-hadith group is against Islam. The objective of this study the first one is to analyze how the anti-hadith group can exist. Next, to examine the opinions of the scholars about the existence of the anti-hadith group. And the last one is to identifying the impact of the presence of anti-hadith groups on Islam. Next, I will explain the main content based on the objective that I mentioned earlier. First, we conduct an analysis of how this anti-hadith group can exist in Islam. Based on the research, the seeds of the anti-hadith group have started to exist since the day of the companions. This group doubts the position of hadith as the second source of Islamic law. This is because people in the past agreed to accept hadith as the second source of law in Islam, and they called for Muslims to return to sticking to the Quran alone. So, the results of the study concluded that the anti-hadith group did not accept anything other than Quran as a source of Islamic law. Besides, we found that there are some scholars' opinions about the anti-hadith groups that are generally very critical and negative. Scholars in general think that the anti-hadith groups have divided from the teachings of Islam that should be studied. Ulama also often worry if anti-hadith groups will cause slander and division among Muslims as a result of their actions. Disagreement about the source of Islamic teachings can cause conflict and damage the unity of the Ummah. Therefore, Islamic scholars emphasize that following the Hadith is an important part of implementing Islamic teachings correctly. From the results of the study, it was found that there are several reasons for the presence of these anti-hadith groups. Among them is the doubt about the authenticity of the hadith. Some of these groups feel that many hadiths are invalid or false. In addition, according to the anti-hadith group, there is no verse in the Quran that commands to adhere to the hadith. They believe that the Quran is sufficient as the only source of Islamic law and teachings. So overall, all these factors can contribute to the emergence of anti-hadith groups in Islam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Alia Patricia binti Rosti. My metric number is 1232082. So let's move to the research methods. In this study, we use the quantitative research curriculum. We use two methods of data collections, which are the newspaper article method and the internet method. So for the first one is newspaper article. Journalistic articles are one of the main foundations of the research methodology because we choose topics that talk about the suspicions and arguments of anti-hadith group. So most of the information we get depends on the sources of newspaper article. We look for answer to the question that posed in the research question section. The question is one of the anti-hadith from an Islamic perspective. So the answer to this question is therefore found in an article entitled Anti-Hadith Group Issues and Challenges. So based on the articles, we found the right answer based on the question. So next one is internet. The internet is also one of the sources of research methodology because most of it were discussed through internet resource have been shared by writers who understand and have a deep knowledge of our topic, such as information about the definition of anti-hadith, history, background of anti-hadith group, and others. So we have chosen a topic that speaks on anti-hadith group, suspicions, and argument. So most of the information we get about it depend on the sources from internet also.
Now, we move to the reason why this problem happened. First of all, doubt about the story of writing the hadith. This group was greatly influenced by Gozier's idea when he claimed that hadiths were not written until 200 years after the Prophet died. They argue that the glory of the Quran diminishes when Al-Shafi'i introduced Sunnah as a secondary source for Muslims. This raises concern among Muslims about relying solely on the Quran. This claim intensively when this group believed that hadiths were just not questionable in terms of their writing history, but also claimed that the writing of hadiths is a conspiracy aimed at benefiting only Arab. This claim is based on the belief that every Muslim must dress like an Arab, pray toward the Mecca, and participate in Haji, which significantly contributes to the financial sources of the Arab. Next, the second one is the Quran does not command people to follow hadith. This idea was presented by Qasim Ahmad, where they review every occurrence of the word hadith and sunnah in the Quran and claim that there is not a single verse in Quran commanding obedience to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Qasim Ahmad detailed in his book that the word hadith appeared 36 times in various forms in the Quran, but none of them carry the meaning of hadith as defined by scholar of hadith. He mentioned that in the Quran, the word hadith refers to the Quran itself, while the word sunnah means system, custom, or traditional. Therefore, according to him, there is no word in the Quran that can be used as evidence to adhere the hadith. And the last one is hadith is not considered a revelation, meaning that um, according to Qasim Ahmad, verse 3 until verse 4 of Surah An-Najmi, nor does he speak from his own inclination. It is not but a revelation revealed are the verse that support the hadith rely on. However, he argued that this verse do not refer to the prophet's speech, meaning hadith, but instead of refer to the Quran itself. To clarify this, Qasim stated in his blog, however, if we look at the context of this verse, we will clearly see that this verse refers to the process of revelation and not to his ordinary speech. And that's why the reason for this problem.
Okay, next, I will explain about the solution proposed based on the problem. Okay, so how to deal with this problem? The authorities, in particular the religious authorities at both the central and state levels, have taken many measures to counter this anti-hadith groups movement. Strict action has been taken by local educational institutions and individuals concerned with the issue to curb the spread of these ideas and prevent them from spreading. Okay, so the first authority is the government's action. The government at the central level, such as Chakim, and also at the state level, such as religious affairs departments, have taken several steps to deal with the anomaly and prevent it from spreading. Okay, so the first step is issuance of advisory opinions on 19 June 1686. The National Advisory Committee carefully studied the book Modern Reappraisal and concluded that this book was contrary to the teachings of Islam and that anyone who refused to speak as a source of legislation departs from Islam. The committee also recommend that the Ministry of Interior ban the book. Okay, so the next step is prohibitions of books and organizations on 7 June 1986. The Ministry of the Interior officially announced the prohibition of the book Modern Assessment following recommendations by the National Advisory Committee. Okay, so that is the step that the government take action from to prevent from spread the. So another solution is by actions of non-governmental organizations and society NGOs, especially with a Muslim background, play a role in preventing the spread of these ideas and beliefs. In addition to the authorities and NGOs, many members of society are also involved in efforts to counter the spread of group anti-hadith idea. So the first one is submission of complaint. The action taken by the authorities depend on complaints from the public. Without complaints from the public, the authorities will not be able to fully carry out their task. Okay, so the next one is newspaper outreach. The coordinator of the Muslim Consumers Association Project Malaysia, which is PPIM, Nur Nurwandi Mat Nordin, revealed in the Harian Metro on January 17, 2008, the existence of an anti-hadith movement aimed at disseminating beliefs, practice, and ideas based solely on the Quran. The society had discovered the group's activities on the internet that might negatively affect the young generation. So I think that's all the solutions proposed.
Next, we move on to the teamwork. All members of my group cooperate well with each other, carefully carry out our assigned tasks. Group members also provide positive, hardworking, and consistently assess whether the assigned tasks have been executed well or not. All points for conducting this research are divided fairly. As I said before, begin with my first team member, which is Balkis. Balkis was doing an introduction. Afif, problem and research question. Iza, research objective and content. Alia, research method and problem solution. Me as well, reason the problem arise and describe teamwork. So there are several tasks involved in this research, including gathering reference and extracting information from all sources, such as journal article and online sources. So that's all from us. Thank you.